Hello, this is Jim Fowler. I'm here today, November 14th, 2020, with Larry Fox. We're going to be talking with Larry today about his recently completed work associated with the Hartsell family. Larry, I appreciate your taking the time to talk with me today about this book, and I understand that the book was previously published several years ago and that you have a copy. Would you like to show us the copy?
Okay, this is the original book that we published back in 1980, and the title of it is The Hartsell Connection, because my wife was the Hartsell family, and they had a habit of referring to each other as part of the Hartsell connection. And we started with the one family who moved across the mountain chain into what is now Tennessee after the Revolutionary War. They moved out of Burke County, North Carolina, across the mountain into what is now Washington County, Tennessee, up right south of Johnson City. And then from there, their descendants have scattered. Well, one descendant moved to Cocke County, and that was my wife's family. And in fact, 3 of the 5 children moved to Cocke County. And from there, they have scattered on all over. Well, we tried to trace the descendants of all 5 children, and this is as far as we got back in 1980. Well, we published this, and since then, people would write to me and say, "Oh, that's a great book, but you didn't know about such and so. You didn't know about my branch of the family," and so on. So we had to make a decision. Are we going to keep adding to it or not? And we decided, okay, we'll go ahead and keep adding to it. Now that was in 1980. Since then, we have just completed the research on every branch, every descendant that we can locate in existence now. And what was originally 367 pages now numbers almost 150,000 names that the computer has counted for us. And we finally ran out of descendants to trace. In fact, it was just within the last 2 months that we found one family that had dead-ended on us back in 1870, on the 1870 census. Well, we discovered them just within the last 2 months that they had moved from Cocke County in 1870 to Arkansas, a particular county in Arkansas, and then from that county they scattered around. And so we picked them up on the 1880 census, and then tried bringing them all the way down to today, and they have been the last additions to the last line that we could find of this family, and now it measures just short of 150,000 names.
So how many names are in the book you're holding?
I have no idea. I never took time to count them.
Okay. I think, didn't we say that we thought maybe there was something like 2,000 names in that book?
I guess so, but then again, we had some descendants that, if those descendants didn't have descendants, it just kind of died out on us. Well, we have since been able to locate those descendants and add their descendants and so on.
Okay. Well, I know that it's very difficult to publish a book much larger than 300 pages, and I know that you now have all of this information in your computer, and that you have also transferred the records to the Smoky Mountain Historical Society.
I have.
And I believe they are in the Smoky Mountain Historical Society family tree that members can access to complete their research or do additional research on the family line.
This latest family that I've just added is the only part that has not been transferred over to the Smoky Mountain Historical Society.
Oh, there's still, I thought it had all been done.
No, it has not all been done, because this was in the last couple months that we found this one county out in Arkansas.
Oh, okay. Well, that I know. I think I helped you transfer it, and I thought you told me it was done, but it was done until you found another family, is what it amounts to.
That's exactly right. Yes.
And so and so if there will be another family that happens to show up, then
I'll add it.
You'll add that. That's great. Well, as I understand that you started this effort based on interest of your late wife, Maggie.
Yes. When we came back here to Sevier County, retired out of the Air Force after roaming the world, and then came back to Sevier County, we went to my Fox family reunion. And lo and behold, they asked me if I'd take part of the program, and I did. I don't remember what I spoke on, but I spoke at the family reunion and wound up getting elected as president that same day. So a couple months later, I went to my mother's side of the family, which was the Andes family, and got elected president of the Andes family. So both families were working on their own family histories. And therefore, I got involved trying to help do that research and publish that information on both of my Andes family and my Fox family. And then at that time, my wife had lost all of her parents and uncles and aunts, except for one uncle. And in the spring of 1980, her only surviving uncle, Uncle Floyd Hartsell, died. And we were talking about that on the way home from the funeral, to say that, you know, we got people working on our side of the family, but we got nobody working on the Hartsell family. And as we started naming off the cousins that might possibly get interested in doing the research on the Hartsell family, and couldn't think of a single one. So we decided, well, I guess nobody's going to do it unless we do. So we started working on the Hartsell family, and we went back to this one family that had moved across the state line out of North Carolina after the Revolutionary War. And it just kind of grew from there.
And so this started in 1980, did you say?
Yes, we started it in the spring of 1980, and then in the late summer of 1980, we published it in this book.
So that's effectively 1 year's worth of work, and
No, not even a year.
Not even a year. And so you recently completed 40 years worth of work.
40 years research.
Now, it wasn't a continuous effort, because you would work on it a little while and then you would take a break, you would run into a dead end, and it would take you a little while to find another path, and sort of like plowing new ground. There's
You're exactly right.
After you remove the stumps, then you have to worry about the rocks, and then, and hopefully there's something good found under every rock.
We have some some people in the Hartsell family that they can really be proud of. And we got some scoundrels. And to be quite honest, it's the scoundrels that are interesting. And the ones that you're proud of, you're proud of. But like for example, in the War of 1812, my wife had a great uncle who mustered in a company of volunteers up in Washington County, and they fought against the Creek Indians, and then went on down with I'll think of his name next year, Andrew Jackson, to New Orleans and helped fight the Battle of New Orleans. But Jacob Hartsell, who mustered in the company as the captain of the company, he wrote a poem. Now, we would not consider it good poetry today, I'm sure, but in that day it really caught on. And it was the poem that we are convinced that the state of Tennessee became known as the volunteer state, because he wrote this saga of the brave volunteers. And that poem is published now. It's not published, but it's on my computer. And if anybody wants a copy, I can punch a button and have it sent to them, about the brave volunteers and what made Tennessee become known as the volunteer state. Because
Well,
it caught on back then.
well, maybe we'll publish that poem in a future journal.
Well, you have my permission to do so.
I had a chance to read some of the stories that are included in your research. One of the ones that I found interesting was about I think it's an A.B. Hartsell. Now, he was around in the Civil War period, right? And what's the story about him?
He came off the farm into Newport one day, and the Confederate Army was there in Newport, and they tried to impress him into the Confederate Army. And he says, "I will not go, I will not." And they said, "Well, you got to support the Confederacy." He says, "I'm going to support old Abe." Well, he shouldn't have said that, because when he said, "I'm going to support old Abe," they were thinking Abraham Lincoln. And they started to hang him there on the spot. And so some friends of his interfered and said, "No, when he says old Abe," says, "He's Abe. He's going to support himself." So with that, they did not hang him, and he got he got out of it alive.
Well, did he go ahead and serve in either of the?
No, he was really too old to serve in the to serve in either North or South.
Too old and too smart.
Yeah, well, yeah, that too. That's too independent.
Independent, yeah. That you can say that for a lot of folks in Cocke County. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to share with us that comes to mind? I know we've talked about the possibility of publishing this book again with all of the names that are in it now, but it's going to be
just totally impractical. But if anybody wants to know about anybody in the family, I can punch a button and have it sent to them by email.
okay. That's good to know.
There is one more thing. There's a whole lot more interesting characters. We've got preachers, we got doctors, we got diplomats, we got governors, we've got senators, and all kinds of politicians in the family that you're proud of. But like I said earlier, it's the scoundrels that are really interesting. Now, for example, my wife's ancestor who was born, we think, in Washington County, Tennessee, although it may have been in Burke County, North Carolina, because we don't know when they made the move. But he grew up and became a married man and started having children. And with his, he buried 2 wives, and the 3rd wife buried him. And with his 3 wives and 1 mistress, he had a total of 20 children. Well, try tracing all 20 children. Well, it's not only all 20 children. He had 4 siblings, and we have traced all the children of all 5 of these Hartsell siblings. So that's what the completed work is all about.
I think you were telling me earlier a little bit about the coat of arms that appears on that cover.
And the coat of arms is pretty, and that's about the best I can say for it, because it has no reason to be legitimate. We have also traced backwards. We have been able to go backward from the Revolutionary War back in time to the year 1404 in Switzerland. And they were farmers. They were all farmers except those that became preachers or doctors or something like that. But we have no military men with coats of arms. So, but the internet is loaded with different coats of arms for, they all say Hartsell on them. And we don't have, we don't think reason to believe that any of them are legitimate, because there were no Hartsell soldiers. They've all been there's been no reason to have a coat of arms.
Okay. Well, is there any significance to the figures that were shown on that? I know it has 3 birds on the top and of the roof and 3 birds below. So is that hawks and chickens, or?
I have no idea. I think it might be. I don't know.
Okay.
But truth is, there's several different coats of arms, and we have no reason to believe any of them had any validity at all.
Okay, so that was just one that, did you pick that out, or did Maggie?
We picked it out because it was colorful.
Okay. Well, I don't think there's anything that says that you can't select your own coat of arms, and nowadays it would have a NASCAR across the front of it or something,
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? Okay. Well, Larry, I appreciate you taking the time to share this story with us. I know that there will be plenty of people that are interested in watching this video, and if there's a Hartsell in their family line, they'll be able to get information from you or from the Smoky Mountain Historical Society, which almost has a complete copy of your research, and hopefully in the next day or so we'll get that taken care of as well. I know at one time I saw 2 stacks of paper about 18 inches high that you indicated were what you were using to put that information in. And again, roughly how many names do you think is in there?
Just a few names short of 150,000 names.
Oh my goodness.
And then this one has about 1,500 names.
Well,
no, I'm sorry, 15,000 names in it.
so
But
about 10
now
times.
10 times more
So
that we've added over the last 40 years.
So if that book is an inch thick, which it's not, it's even more than that, so you're talking about a book that would be 10 inches thick. So
Yeah.
that would be a large dictionary, library dictionary.
It's totally impractical.
Would be 10 volumes. if we were.
Yeah, it's totally impractical to publish it as a book because nobody would want to store that much information anywhere or pay that much for it.
Right.
So I'm saying, if you want the information, contact me, ask me about it, or contact the Smoky Mountain Historical Society, and it'll be freely shared with you at no charge.
Well, thanks again, Larry. We look forward to talking with you when you add another 10,000 names, if you do.